Hello there guys, welcome to one of my live videos, and on this video this morning I am going to be giving you an update on some more transfer news, keeping up to date of what players are linked with Manchester United. And like I have done for the majority of this January transfer window, I have been keeping up to date. The host of players that Manchester United, of course, are linked with. The transfer window does shut on Friday, and Manchester United have still not yet made any signings, so that is an element of concern. Obviously, the priority areas where Man United need to strengthen up is that midfield, because we need two midfielders. We also need to get a striker in, but obviously, reflecting on the injury to Marcus Rashford. Now, I think Man United are also in search for a left back, because obviously, Ashley Young departed the club earlier on this month for Inter Milan. Obviously, Brandon Williams has done well since he's come onto the horizon, but Luke Shaw is really struggling for consistency, and plus Luke Shaw has sustained quite a lot of injuries as a Manchester United player since his arrival from Southampton, and I think in recent weeks Luke Shaw's been linked with a move to Leicester. And I think Luke Shaw signed a new long-term contract back in October 2018. So the news I'm going to give you an update on is Bruno Fernandes, like I've been doing on a regular basis. Also going to be giving you some additional information regarding Ben Chillwell, and also there's lots of other things there to talk about. So the first topic of the development I'm going to start with is Bruno Fernandes. So as you all know, the saga, with Manchester United and Bruno Fernandes has dominated, the mainstream media for the entirety of the January transfer window. Now, obviously, we still do remain in negotiations with Sporting Lisbon. I did say, didn't I, Bruno Fernandes' move to Manchester United. The stumbling block is the fee, because Man United and Sporting Lisbon are struggling to come to an agreement on a fee, basically. Now, reportedly, over the weekend on Saturday, Man United met up with Federico Varandas, the Sporting Lisbon president, to discuss an increased bid, because reports were emerging out saying that we've increased our offer for Bruno Fernandes. Now, whether this is going to be enough to convince Sporting Lisbon to offload him or not, I do not know. But reportedly we've increased our offer to around, is it £46.5 million, I think, with add-ons included, because we've already had a previous bid turned down for him, because at the first we was not determined to pay more than £42 million for him and that. So the fee is definitely nowhere the stumbling block. Bruno Fernandes has made it clear that his preference is a move to Manchester United. I think his preference was totally a comparison last summer, because I think his preference last summer was actually a move to Tottenham. Also, City were closing in on getting him last summer, and Liverpool also went in for him. But the main explanation why we didn't get Bruno Fernandes last summer is the same sort of thing as it is now. Sporting Lisbon said last summer they wanted around £70 million. Man United were not determined to pay it last summer. We only valued Bruno Fernandes at £50 million. But Bruno Fernandes' agent has actually come out and actually said he was available for around £42 million last summer. So we just basically can't come to an agreement on a fee. And a lot of reports in the Portuguese press the other week says, Man United have already agreed to personal terms with Bruno Fernandes, and he's set to earn around £120,000 a week. But, no fee has come to an agreement. And I think it did say if Bruno Fernandes was to sign, he would sign like a 5-year deal. Sporting Lisbon do play Martimo tonight. I think it did say that Bruno Fernandes is set to miss that game. So that's obviously now a boost for Man United. Obviously, Bruno Fernandes did play Sporting Lisbon's last game in the 2-1 defeat to Braga. He did. And obviously the game before that he played against Benfica. And that actual game against Benfica should have been Bruno Fernandes' farewell parents. But, they're hard negotiators at Sporting Lisbon, because they're being ruthless over their valuation. They said, look, we want £68 million. Manchester United are not determined to pay that. But from my own perception on this, I think, Man United should just pay what Sporting Lisbon are demanding, because I think he's worth it. I know that Sporting Lisbon got him from next to nothing from Sampdoria. They only paid around, £6 to £7 million for him from Sampdoria. But analyse his performances in the couple of years, with Sporting Lisbon, obviously, his valuation has persistently grown. So I think we should just pay it. And despite the fact, that Bruno Fernandes is not Premier League proven, he's not played in the Premier League as yet, I think, he's still got the minerals to come and succeed in the Premier League. So what I mean in that aspect is I think, if he comes to Man United in the Premier League, he can replicate what he's done with Sporting Lisbon. Don't forget last year, he extended his contract until 2023. When he was younger, he spent the entirety of his career in Italy. Don't forget, a couple of weeks ago, was it, Sporting Lisbon said they wanted Marcus Rojo as part of the deal. I think he's one of the problematic players at Manchester United. And there was also talk saying that Andres Pereira could go as part of a deal and that. Also too, George Mendes, like I mentioned before, he's been working on Bruno Fernandes' transfer to Manchester United. I think he's been in Manchester on a couple of occasions. He said, I think it was last week, that he doesn't know if Bruno Fernandes is going to leave Sporting this month, but he's assured if he doesn't leave this month, he will leave in the summer and that. And even, Paul Scholes came out after our 2-0 defeat to Burnley, and he says that increases our chances of getting Bruno Fernandes. But like I said, will be a great addition to the squad, very creative, because we are lacking creativeness in that midfield. He can provide goals, he can create chances, and he is only at the age of 25. And, Bruno Fernandes is nearly in his prime. He's still got a lot of development in him, and we do look very exposed in that midfield anywhere now, following, the injuries to Paul Pogba and Scott McTominay, where I think they're out towards the end of this month, or they're due back in early February, I do not know. But Man United have got to get an attacking midfielder in, and we've also got to get a holding midfielder in, basically. So reports came out, it was last Tuesday, revert back to what I said about Bruno Fernandes, and it said, we're around £10 million off Sporting Lisbon's valuation. But, Man United have spent a lot of money in the last, 6 or 7 years on recruiting new players in. I think we've spent nearly around £1 billion on recruiting new players in. Of course, in recent years, we've overpaid for players, prime example, £80 million for Harry Maguire, £89 million for Pogba, £50 million for Fred, £40 million for Matic. Not only that, we've got the highest wage bill in the Premier League. So, we've got the, the financial power anywhere, to meet Sporting Lisbon's valuation. Of course, if we do get rid, of more players, even if we have to wait until the summer to get rid of more players, we'll generate more money in that way anyway. So that's the latest news regarding Bruno Fernandes. But we're better hurry up, and there's some reports saying, we could actually complete the signing of Bruno Fernandes on transfer deadline day. So that's the news regarding him. The news regarding Ben Chillwell. Now, as you all know, Ben Chillwell is a left back and currently plays for Leicester. Now, we won't sign Ben Chillwell in this January transfer window. If we've got any chances of signing Ben Chillwell, it won't be until the summer. So I think, from our perspective, we've identified him as a summer transfer target, basically, Ben Chillwell. Ben Chillwell is around 23 years of age. I've got to say, I think he has been a revelation for Leicester. Now, it's not only Man United that have been in for him. I think Chelsea have been interested in him. Also, Liverpool and Manchester City have been interested in him. But according to recent reports, Manchester City have dropped their interest in Ben Chillwell. The main explanation why that is because Pep Guardiola and Man City are not determined to pay £50 million or more than £50 million for Ben Chillwell. I think if we got Ben Chillwell in the summer, he would be a great addition to the squad. I think it probably, would cost us a good 50, 60, maybe even £70 million to get him in. But obviously, we're seeing him as a possible replacement for Luke Shaw, because he's still a possibility chance that Luke Shaw could leave the football club. I do believe, like I said, that Luke Shaw's been linked with a move to Leicester. So is there a possible chance of a swap deal happening in the summer between Ben Chillwell and Luke Shaw and that? Ben Chillwell began his career with Leicester. I think he's gone on, since he got into the senior squad, to make around 91 appearances in the Premier League for Leicester. He also had a loan spell with Huddersfield Town. But, so maybe, we are in search of getting a fullback in. Like I said, we've got a variety of fullbacks in the team. Obviously, you've got Dalot. He's one of the backup options. You've got Wan-Bissaka. That's our first choice right back. And you've got Fosu-Mensah, who's just come back now. He can also play as a right back. I think Solskjaer sees him as a right back. You've got also Rojo that can also play as a fullback. Brandon Williams is our first choice left back now. You can still say, though, he's still a bit inexperienced at the moment, despite the fact, that he's been good. But I still think Williams is going to become a succession at the football club. But, I think we've gone in for Brandon Williams is due to, what's going on with Luke Shaw. A lot of injury problems. Luke Shaw, he's been here since, 2014, 2015 and that. And he's had some good spells as a Manchester United player, Don't forget, Luke Shaw won the double player of the season last season, reflecting on his good run of performances. But there's possibility chance that he could leave Manchester United. So, yeah. So, now we could go in for Ben Chillwell in the summer. Also, James Maddison, another player we could go in for in the summer from Leicester. We've been relentlessly, linked with James Maddison. Allegedly, we've been in for James Maddison since June. And from a Leicester perspective, they know how much of an imperative player that James Maddison is, and also to Ben Chillwell. So I think, it's going to cost us a substantial amount for both players. I think if we were to go for a double swoop, it probably cost us around £120, £130 million to get Ben Chillwell and James Maddison in. Probably James Maddison alone would probably cost us around £60 or £70 million. So we'd probably have to pay this the exact same fee as what we paid for Maguire, or a similar fee. You've got James Maddison, that's into his second season with Leicester. I think he's replicating what he did in his debut season with Leicester, because he was really good in his debut season. Last season for Leicester, he created more chances than any other player in the Premier League, did James Maddison. And I think James Maddison is on now, I think he's on 60-odd appearances in all competitions for Leicester since his arrival from Norwich. Leicester did pay around £20 million for him from Norwich in the summer of 2018. He had a good couple of years in the Championship with Norwich, so he's emulated himself up. He actually, began his career with Coventry, and a lot of teams were tracking him then. And he had a loan spell with Aberdeen. James Maddison is predominantly an attacking midfielder, but he also plays on the left-hand side. He tends to play out wide a lot, under Brendan Rodgers' guidance. So he's another summer target, Man United could go in for. Obviously, we need a striker, like I said. Reverting back to what I said earlier on the video, we need a striker now. Especially, with the injury to Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford, I think, is out until March, or is it April? It did say minimum is going to be out for at least 6 weeks, is Marcus Rashford. Now, obviously, that's disappointing, because Rashford's been one of our best players this season. He's been in scintillating form. He's on 19 goals in all competitions this season, and since Rashford broke into the senior squad, he's provided 63 goals for Manchester United, which is very, very impressive. So definitely a long-term solution for Man United. I don't know if he's going to spend the entirety of his career with Man United, but up until this point he has done. He's only 22 years of age. But a lot, the likes of Ian Wright came out the other week, and some people believe anywhere from their own perception that Solskjaer needs to take some of the blame why Rashford's injury occurred in the first place, because he never should have brought him on against Wolves, because he didn't obviously look fully fit. But Rashford has sustained a double fracture in his back, so his injury is very severe, and Solskjaer confirmed his current injury he's got is actually more severe than the one they previously had before, earlier on in the season. So this injury is totally comparison to the one he had before and that. So we've had a couple of loans. Want to try and get someone in on loan, until the end of the season. Obviously, there's been a lot of, talks going on about Islam Slimani. who's currently on loan at Monaco from Leicester. I think this is currently his first season on loan with Monaco. Don't really know much about the player, but I know we've inquired about getting him on loan. Islam Slimani. He before he was at Monaco, he had a couple of loan spells with Newcastle and Fenerbahce. I think they were two unsuccessful loan spells because he actually didn't score one single goal for Newcastle. Leicester did get him back in 2016, Islam Slimani. They paid around £28 million for him from Sporting Lisbon. At that current time, he was Leicester's record signing because Leicester, obviously Leicester's record signing now is Youri Tielemans, who they paid £40 million for. But yeah, he's 31 years of age. It's Islam Slimani. So do you feel as though he would be the right player for Manchester United? Do you think he'd be able to bring us them goals that we do need in that? And to be fair, we have seen to have improved in that attacking line. Obviously, Martial's done okay. That game against Tranmere yesterday, was his 200th appearance for the club in our competition. Scored a very, very good goal. I think in a lot of games this season he's done well. I think he's totally comparison to Rashford. I think Rashford's a better player than him. Some people believe Martial plays better out wide. Some people believe Martial plays better in that number 9 role. James was rested yesterday. He didn't play. I don't think he's been so good in the last month as Daniel James, but I think prior to that he's done really, really well since his arrival from Swansea last summer. So for me, we need to add more experience in that attacking line. And do you think, Man United should now persist with 3 at the back? Because obviously, Owen Hargreaves came out, who was a former Man United player, and he gave his overarching view on the 6-0 win against Tranmere yesterday. He believes now that we should persist with 3 at the back, because I think it actually seems to suit our standards. And we haven't really gone with 3 at the back much this season. We've done in a couple of games. We have went with the 3 at the back yesterday against Tranmere. We went with 3 at the back against Liverpool when we drew 1-1. 3 at the back in one of the games against Partizan Belgrade. But on a regular basis this season, Solskjaer has gone with that 4-2-3-1 formation. It hasn't really seemed to suit our standards in that. So this is why I said Solskjaer's been tactically naive for the vast majority of this season. So maybe we should stick, with 3 at the back. You saw my match reaction for the Man United Tranmere game yesterday. Of course, we won by 6 goals to 0 to progress into the 5th round in the FA Cup. That's the biggest away win we've had in any competition since we beat Nottingham Forest back in 1999. And it's actually the first time we have scored 6 goals since the Alex Ferguson era. So the 2 biggest wins we've had now since Solskjaer got recommended in is 6-0 yesterday against Tranmere and the 5-1 win against Cardiff, which was of course Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first game as Manchester United manager. But I've got to say it was a very, very good performance against Tranmere. We was expected to beat Tranmere obviously because they're struggling in League One. They're sitting 21st in League One. But I didn't expect us to beat Tranmere by 6 goals to 0. Of course, Solskjaer went with a lot of first teamers because he didn't want to take many risks, because there was obviously some reports coming out saying that there was a possibility chance that Solskjaer's tenure could have been ended if we hadn't have beaten Tranmere. Of course, Solskjaer did make 6 changes from the 2-0 defeat to Burnley. Obviously, we needed to see a reaction from Man United because we endured a difficult week, losing to Liverpool 2-0, then losing at home to Burnley 2-0, for the first time in 58 years at Old Trafford. So yeah, it was good to see a response from the players. The goals came from Harry Maguire. That was Harry Maguire's first goal as a Manchester United player. Very, very good goal it was as well from outside the box. Lindelof had got the assist. And I thought Harry Maguire was one of the best players on the pitch. He played the ball well out from the back. His distribution was fantastic. And like I said, he's done well as a Manchester United player. Maguire was very poor against Burnley, made a lot of mistakes, but I think yesterday's performance was totally comparison. Maguire also got an assist in the game. The second goal, Diego Dalot, he also played well. That's his first goal for Manchester United. Martial got the assist. It was lovely Ronaldo shot from Dalot, and it was a fantastic finish into the bottom corner. And then the third goal came from Lingard. Lingard's goal was very, very good. That was Lingard's first goal for Manchester United in over a year. So that indicates how bad Lingard has been. And I've been criticising Lingard a lot because I said reflect on his status at the club and reflect on the number of years he's been here. He should be putting much more better performances out. But, I said I want him out with the club. But now, if, reflect on his good performance he put against Tranmere, if this can give him a bit of confidence and rejuvenate him, then maybe my perceptions will start to change regarding Jesse Lingard. But we scored 3 times in the space of, was it 6 minutes or something like that? The 4th goal came from Phil Jones, headed from a corner. 5th goal came from Anthony Martial. It was a very, very good goal, Martial's. It did actually get a slight deflection. Luke Shaw got the assist for that. And it was 5-0 at half-time. And then the 6th goal came from Mason Greenwood in the second half from the penalty spot. Angel Gomez was the architect of winning that penalty. He got brought down, but Mason Greenwood had converted the penalty well. And that's Mason Greenwood's now 10th senior goal for the football club this season in 20-odd first-team appearances and that. But, they did really, really well yesterday. Man United performed really, really well. Greenwood had a great game. And like I said, Greenwood needs to start playing more on a regular basis. He needs to start more in the Premier League. In the cup games, he's getting them starts, but in the league, he's not getting them starts. You can play Mason Greenwood the number 9. He's also an option on the right-hand side. But I thought yesterday him and Martial blended in very, very well together as a partnership without a shadow of a doubt. Chon made an impact when he came on in the game. He made a fantastic impact, did Chon, when he came on. He was unlucky not to score because Chon, I think, had hit the crossbar towards the end. I thought Delot had a good game. There was no Angel Gomez. When Solskjaer going to be convinced to give Angel Gomez his opportunities. So yeah, a lot of them did really, really well. Tranmere, the first before we went 1-0 up, had actually a lot of corners, and they did have some decent opportunities. Pereira wasn't too bad. I don't think Brandon Williams did bad when he came on. I'm surprised, Brandon Williams didn't start basically in that. But we did rest a few key players. Obviously Wan-Bissaka was rested. There was no Daniel James. Fred didn't start, but obviously, Fred came on in the game and that. I'm actually surprised that Eric Bailly didn't play. I thought he could have played Eric Bailly, because he's just come back from injuries, Eric Bailly. He was out since pre-season with a knee injury, but recently he's been playing for the under-23s. He's very injury-prone, is Eric Bailly. Fossa Mensah, he's just come back from injury in that. Tuan Zebe, I think he's close to returning from injury, but he's still out at the moment. Marcus Rojo is still out. Pobby McTonway is still out. But we reflect on it. We've had a lot of injuries this season. And, that's not excusable, with how inconsistent Manchester United have been. We should be still in much more of a commanding position than we're in now. Obviously, we've got a lot of young players in the squad that are developing and trying to improve. And, I do credit Solskjaer for that because he has got a lot of trustworthy in his young players, which is very, very good to see. And he did confirm at the start of this season that the young players, would get given their chances and that. I've got some element of concerns about some of the young upcoming players, don't get me wrong. But they have done really, really well. So it's just good that we did beat Tranmere. We're into the 5th round of the FA Cup. The FA Cup now is a priority for us. I'm hopeful that we can win it. And the FA Cup is a chance of us getting some silverware on the board. Solskjaer's spoken about the importance of us getting silverware on the board. Also, the Europa League's a chance for us of getting silverware on the board and another route to Champions League football. And also top 4 is a priority for us because we do want to get that top 4 this season. That's very imperative. You can still say we are in that top 4 race. The only main explanation why we're in that top 4 race is because, Chelsea have been so inconsistent this season. So a possibility chance that Man United could get that top 4 this season. So we have got quite a few ambitions. Solskjaer, has come out and he's promised that, he will bring the good times back to Manchester United. This is what he has confirmed. But, obviously, we know that the conditions yesterday at Tranmere were very, very bad. But, Solskjaer said prior to the game, he said, the reflecting on the conditions at Tranmere, that's no excuse for the players and that. But, we did run the show, to be fair. And Lingard actually, got a man of the match, basically. But, Solskjaer still insists, that the board are backing him, despite our inconsistency for the vast majority of this season. Like I said, we've still got to see a variety of changes at the football club. I think we've got to get rid of Ed Woodward and the Glazers As you all know, a lot of United fans are protesting Ed Woodward and the Glazers. I think we've also got to get rid of the board, because our board have been a liability for several years. We've also got to get rid of more players. I think we've got to get rid of around 6 or 7 players this year, because there's still a lot of deadwood at the football club, and I know a lot of players have left since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival, but still deadwood at the football club, definitely. I think who needs to leave? I think Jones needs to go. Jones wasn't so bad yesterday, but I still feel as though he needs to go, because we can generate some money if he leaves, because he signed a new long-term contract last season. Rojo probably needs to get moved on. Surprised he didn't go to Everton last summer. Luke Shaw perhaps maybe needs to go. Matic needs to be moved on. Too slow, too ineffective in that midfield. Doesn't complement our midfield whatsoever. I would get probably rid of Angel Gomez. I think Chong's set to leave on a free transfer at the end of the season, reportedly. I think he's set to go to Italy, so I think Juventus and Inter Milan have expressed their interest in him. Chong's played some games for Man United, but I think his appearances have been a bit limited because he hasn't played as many games to the extent as he would like. So Chong could be moved on. But I think when Chong's played, he hasn't been so bad, but I just feel as though, he isn't at that level as yet. And I think Chong's current contract is due to expire at the end of the season. I'll probably move Pereira on. Pereira's had some good games, but he's also had a lot of bad games as a Manchester United player. So players do need to be moved on. But there's still some players I would be determined to keep in the squad. I'd keep Rashford, I'd keep Martial, I'd keep McTominay, because before he got injured, he did very, very well in our midfield. Don't know if he's still a long-term solution for Man United, though. I'd keep Fred. I think, we are determined to give Fred more time at the football club, because I think he's improving as a Manchester United player, to be fair, Fred. Who else would I keep? I'd keep Lindelof, because I think he's done very well alongside Maguire in our back line. So these still players I would be determined to definitely, keep at Manchester United without a shadow of a doubt. But like I said, this is Solskjaer's first full season as Manchester United manager. We won't sack him now. Maybe he could go at the end of the season if he doesn't exceed expectations. And Solskjaer's aware that he's got many expectations to exceed in his second year at the club. But if we were to get top four at the end, if we were to get top four, and if we were to get some silverware on the board, then maybe we would be determined to give Ole Gunnar Solskjaer another season at Manchester United to then see what he could do. If we don't get top four this season, we don't get any silverware on the board, then it's probably likely that Solskjaer will be sacked as Manchester United manager, basically, in that. But I did say at the start of this season, I expected us to enjoy a better season this season than what we saw last season, because last season was bad. We finished 6th last season, and it's the lowest we've ever finished in the Premier League era is 7th, and that was under the David Moyes era. But what we did against Tranmere yesterday in the FA Cup, we've got to start replicating that now in the Premier League. We're not. We've done quite well against elite opposition this season, to be fair. We've done pretty well. We've had some decent results in the league this season against elite opposition, and we haven't been so good against lower opposition. But what we did against Tranmere yesterday, we've got to now start doing that in the Premier League, and we've got to start finding that consistency in the Premier League if we want to keep our top 4 ambitions alive without a shadow of doubt. Solskjaer's got 2.5 years left on his deal at the club. Obviously, if we were to sack him at any time in that 2.5 year period, then we'd have to pay something. Obviously, I think we'd have to pay around £5 million to get rid of Solskjaer, basically, in that. But not all of the blame stems from Solskjaer. Obviously, he isn't going to resign as Manchester United manager, because obviously then, he wouldn't get any money if he just resigned. So, I think Solskjaer knows, he's not good enough for the job at Manchester United. But I think if we got rid of him now anywhere, it wouldn't be the right solution, because it's not long now until the season ends. If I was to sack him, I'd sack him at the end of the season, then recommend a new manager in. I know there's been a lot of narratives going on about Pochettino. There's been recent reports talking about Gareth Southgate coming in. He wouldn't come in anywhere until after the European Championships this year. So there has been a lot of talk about him as well. Big game coming up for Man United. Manchester City's on Wednesday in the Carabao Cup semi-final, second leg at the Etihad. Some people have confidence going into that game. If we can replicate a performance that we did against Tranmere, then there's a chance. But obviously, City's a total City's a different kettle, total different kettle of fish to Tranmere. You know, don't forget we are 3-1 down from the first leg. You know, City totally bossed there the first leg, but City are looking to win their third Carabao Cup on the trot because they've won it in the last 2 seasons. I think they've won it 4 times out of the last 6 years. Don't forget we won at the Etihad earlier on this season in the Premier League, so anything can happen. You know, your preview should be coming up for that later on today, or it will be tomorrow for the Man City game. And there's also lots of other videos coming up on this channel as well, guys. So, yeah. And, you know, like I said, my element of concerns about Solskjaer is that, you know, he's too inexperienced. You know, I've also got the same perception on, you know, Carrick, he's too inexperienced. You know, Kieran McKenna, he's too inexperienced and that. And I just think we need to recommend a manager in with proven pedigree, a manager to the top level, and a manager that can elevate this club forward, you know. And, you know, don't get me wrong, we've already had 2 world-class managers in Louis van Gaal and Jose Mourinho, so always getting the managers in with the proven pedigrees and that is not always the right solution, basically. So, yeah, so that's the latest transfer news. Everything else up there today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do consider subscribers, always take care, God bless, see you all again very, very soon.